Alright, I think I figured out the spacing on the holes for the net pots. So I've got the first one's 2.5 inches in from the end and then centered. This space in here is because this is where the drain tube is. So I needed to leave space in here. So I left 5 inches in there to have the drain tube in the center. So this one's 7.5 inches in from the end. From there I went 3.5 inches and spaced them out all the way down. Now, this I was going to measure in from this. I kind of measured in from this end to come into this first line here. That was my original space and gap that I wanted to leave for the water inlet, which is here. But then the 3.5 inches ended up being there. So I spaced it back to 3.5 inches, and it's just a hair longer than what I was going to leave, but that's fine. So that gives me a dozen net pots all the way down, 11 of them between the water inlet and the water outlet, and then one on the other side. When we ran the water here, it showed that there was plenty of water that came on this side, so I don't have a problem putting one pot down there. Normally I'm just a person that likes to have water flow from one end to the other, but with where I had to put the drain in here, this doesn't work. And to give me the best spacing, I'd rather just put one plant down there. So I don't think it'll be a problem. These have drained back out. As you can see, there's just a little bit of water in there, and that will stay there all the time. I can't get it to drain fully, but that's all right. When I set the net pots in, the water is below the net pots, so for the real young plants, they're not gonna get drowned out or anything, because the rock wool is going to hold the moisture and it'll drain back down. The older plants, as they get closer to that 3-4 week, when they're about ready to come out of here, they'll have roots coming out the bottom of these net pots, and the roots will be laying down here in that water, and that's fine. It's probably actually good for them, because from there they'll move over here into these water culture totes, where only the roots will be soaking up the water and nutrients. So it'll actually just kind of get them used to what's coming. So, all right, well, I'm gonna drill holes in one of these and give it a try, and then go from there. All right, the rails are looking really good. I got 2 of them drilled for the tops. And I've actually got the system running right now just to check things out. So yeah, they look good. I did put net pots in the front rail just to kind of take a look. The back one, I think I've got 1 net pot down there just to kind of get an idea, but primarily using the front one. These, now I don't really have much light, so it's going to be hard to tell, but they're coming on these net pots. The water's coming up to this center ring right here, so that is plenty. That's, I think, about 1 inch up onto the net pot, and when it drained fully, it was draining down below the bottom of the net pot. So there will be, as the plants get a little older and put roots down, they'll be able to soak up what's left of the water in the bottom, but the young plants that are just, a week or 2 old, that don't have the roots all the way out the bottom yet, will just be relying on that rock wool. So that's perfect. It's running great. A couple of things that I've noticed. Of course, we've got to get a new elbow up there because I busted that one. I knew that. I'm getting a little bit of splashback under here, primarily from the front ones, because this PVC drain pipe is angled downward, so these do not stick very far into the, if I can get a good halfway decent shot for you, they don't stick very far down into that pipe. So I'm getting just a little bit of splashback, especially here on the front. So what I'm thinking I need to do is get some vinyl tubing to stick on there to extend that down just a bit into this pipe. The other thing though, I really don't want to cut these shelves, which has been my whole reasoning for what I've been doing here. So I need to get something that's thin enough wall to be able to fit in between here. I do have some that Samantha had picked up for me from the big box hardware store, which is black. It's the same as this, just different size, but it's a thicker wall. So the problem is it doesn't fit in between here, and I'm not going to cut these. So I think I'm just going to get some clear, because it's primarily going to be inside the drain. It shouldn't matter too much. I mean, if I buy a foot of it, I'm going to have more than enough to do all 4 of these. And all I need is like 2 inches on each one. So I need like 8 inches. So a foot will do me. If I can get some thin wall, just enough to help direct that water down far enough into that drain tube. You know, these on the Dutch bucket system, they go down quite a bit, probably halfway down in the pipe. So if I can do that over there, that should eliminate the splashback. I'm going to drill the holes for the top rails and get that finished up, and then I think I'm done in the grow room for today. It'll be at this point clean up a few miscellaneous things as far as getting that elbow and getting these drains. From there it'll be clean up my mess on the floor, because I have a mess, and then it'll be rinsing everything down and then getting nutrient rich water in the reservoir so that we can start actually running these rails. So with that, have a good one. We'll check in with you later. Alright, so I've finished up in the grow room for what I'm going to do today, and now I'm working on Samantha's project. So I've got, you can't really tell, but it's actually 2 pieces of plywood. I didn't have one big enough, and I wasn't going to go buy one just to do this. So I've got 2 pieces of plywood. They're like 13.5 inches wide, so the total is 27. And then I've got them screwed to a 2x4 there across the top. I'm gonna put underneath of these glass plates, because they have a little stand, so they're not tight against the wood. So I'm gonna put a metal bracket between of the 2 pieces of plywood, just to kind of hold them together so they don't try to twist or something on me. Overall, the glass is 28 inches wide because they're 14 each and 2 of them. The wood's 27, so it'll be tucked in just a little bit. Overall, we wanted the bottom of it to hang 33 inches down from the ceiling. I cut the boards at 32, so there again, it's underneath just a little bit. So I've got the 4 glass panels laid out. Now it's a matter of getting the metal plate to hold the 2 pieces of plywood together and get the mounts set. They use just like a picture hanger type mount. There's 2 screws into the wood, and then they'll hook onto them. So hopefully I can get them, and then I'll unhook them and hang the board and then hook the glass panels back on. So, well, project complete. It's far from perfect, I know that. But what you doing, Samantha?
Writing.
writing on the wall. She can do that now. So I took and hung that 2x4 with the plywood on it first. So that's hung up there on the back side. This is the cold air return for the heat system, so we went just on the back side of that, and I screwed it up into the floor joists there. So that's the 2x4, and then the plywood hangs down the wall, and then on the plywood hangs the 4 glass tiles. I didn't get them perfectly lined up in the center. They're off a little bit, but I tried. But it gives her a nice board to write on. So then she can make notes and stuff. So that's the end of that project. And I guess I'm on to the next one.